Good morning. Oh, I'm not quite going yet. Don't be going. Good morning, guys. I'm Valerie, and we have yoga on this page on Tuesdays at 9:30 to about 10:15, and Danielle and I alternate teaching this class. I'm just a smidge late hopping on this morning, a couple minutes late, and just share with you guys. Oh, somebody's there. I'm going to scoot back in a minute. But it's been one of those mornings so far. I don't know how you guys are doing out there, but our thermostat died last night, so it's a little cold in here. That's why I'm wearing a sweater. Somebody's coming to fix it later, and I had to do a different setup in here than usual. So I'm sharing all of this because I think that, oftentimes we have an idea about what our yoga practice needs to look like, what the space that we're in needs to look like while we're practicing, where we need to be when we come onto the mat. And yeah, it's great if we can have the perfectly cleared space and, go into it already clear. But that's not always the case, right? So, just an invitation to honor where you are this morning as you come into the space that we're going to share together. And that we'll use the breath and our movement, our gentle movements together today, to try to release some of that clutter, right? To release clutter, attachment to the things that are going on outside of us that are out of our control. So, and I've got a scarf and blanket over here too if I need to wrap up. But hopefully once we start moving, it'll be warm. If you have any requests or comments, feel free to drop a comment in the comment box. I won't be able to see it from back there, but I can see if somebody's commented, and I'll kind of lean up and check in with you. All right, guys. So welcome. Good morning. And I'm going to move back here. See how this new arrangement works with the tree. All right. Also, you guys might hear my dog. He is not happy about the fact that he is not over here with me. Make sure you can see my legs. All right. Okay. Yeah, so getting settled where you are. So for some folks, we have some folks that join in that might be in a chair. If you're in a chair, just making sure that your sits bones, your bum is even in that chair. If you're on a sofa or cushy chair, maybe come to the edge and have your feet, the bottoms of your feet flat on the floor. And if you're on the floor like me, you can have your legs crossed, or out in front of you, you can have blocks or pillows or something up under your knees. But let's just begin by taking a few breaths in through the nostrils and out through the mouth with a sigh. So inhaling and exhaling. A couple more of those. My dog's staring me down, you guys. I'm sure you guys with pets know how that goes. Dogs and cats get very interested when we're on our mat, right? And then beginning to transition to a yoga breath or a ujjayi breath. And if this breath is new to you, it might take some practice. I've been working with some clients where it is new and that sometimes I feel a little out of breath. So you can always pause, get your breath, and come back. But with this breath, we're going to be breathing in through the nostrils. Seeing if we can feel that breath or notice where the breath stops. So is it stopping here at the throat? Is it coming to the chest, the ribs, the belly, towards the diaphragm? And then exhale also through the nostrils. We'll do a few more rounds with that breath. we're going to come back to a few different breathing and grounding exercises, but let's do a little bit of movement our neck and shoulders before we do that. I don't know about you, but I'm just noticing a little tension in my neck and shoulders and wanting to move a little bit before we continue with the breath. So inhaling, and as you exhale, releasing the chin to the chest, drawing the right ear to right shoulder, coming back through center, left ear to left shoulder. So just following that movement with the breath. And then coming back to center, inhaling, lifting the shoulders up, exhaling, rotating down and around. And changing directions. Inhaling forward. All right, inhaling up, exhaling as you roll forward. And let's do a few shoulder shrugs. Inhaling the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale through the mouth. 3 more of those. Last one. Nice. All right, I'm going to move this back a little because I feel like you guys don't see my legs. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll come back to the breath, and movement's feeling good in terms of warming up the body, like temperature-wise, but also warming up the flow. So let's do some spinal flexes. We'll move into cat-cow on hands and knees in a minute, but we can do this seated. So folks that are in a chair, you can have your hands beside you and onto the sides of the chair, or hands on your thighs. We're just inhale, leading with the chin and the chest. Exhale, chin comes towards the chest, navel towards the spine. So there's a lot of variations here. If it feels right for you today to keep this in a smaller flex, really leading with the chest and having it be more in the upper body, or you can even experiment with making more of a flow here, scoop down, inhaling and then exhaling, or just making kind of a deeper inhale, exhale here. And the speed's up to you too. You can speed it up a little bit, still staying connected to the breath, or keep it slow. And the next time that you find yourself forward, inhaling here, as you exhale, we're going to come around. So sits bones here. We want those to stay as still and rooted and connected to whatever you're sitting on as possible. There's a tendency, as we're leaning this way, this side comes up. We're just going to do that a little bit, but just see if you can imagine that your pelvic floor and your pelvic bowl being really sturdy and flat on whatever surface you're on. All right. Ooh, a little pop there for me. All right, coming back to center. Give a little space here. Let's inhale, the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale up. Exhale. We'll come back to breath work and maybe a little guided relaxation towards the end of class. I'm just going to probably keep moving a little bit, but probably some of just because it's cold in my house. But we'll slow down a little more back towards the end. And the classes are always gentle, you guys. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to twist to the right. Left hand comes to the right knee. Coming up onto that back finger, twisting, looking towards the right shoulder. There's always an invitation for those of you, if you like more flow in your practice, feel free to bring flow in, come through sun salutation or vinyasa flow. In part, just because limitations of the camera in this class, we keep it mostly on the floor, and but also just to make it accessible to all levels, so folks, all bodies can participate. Inhaling the center, but always the invitation to slow it down as much as you like, or speed it up. So this time, right hand's on the outside of the left knee. Your gaze is turned towards the left shoulder. And inhaling to center. Exhale, we're going to reach the hands down onto the floor. You can't quite see still the floor, guys. I'm going to see. Hello, close up. That helps. Oh, yeah. Okay, much better. All right, so inhaling the arms overhead. Exhale, releasing the hands to the floor. Spreading the fingers wide and grounding the palms, really pressing the palms into the floor as you inhale and look up. So tailbone's really drawing towards the whatever's behind you and down towards the mat. The chin, the chest are reaching forward, so really lengthening in the spine. And exhale, folding forward. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling up. Exhaling. Inhaling up. And exhale. And slowly walking the hands back. Let's inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, releasing the right hand towards the earth, extending the left arm overhead. Feeling really grounded through the left side body and left hip so that we're opening here along the side body. And really stretching from the hips, all on the ribs. And slowly inhaling up. Let's stretch to the other side. Scarf. And stretching again, feeling grounded and rooted here at the crease of the hip and where that space between the ribs and the top of the hip. Really opening all along the side body. Intercostal muscles between the ribs. And inhaling back up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. So let's come onto hands and knees for those of you that are on the floor or going to be on the floor for this part. And I will give modifications for folks that are seated as we go. And if I don't, feel free to remind me in the comments or modify as feels good to you. Let's see if there's any comments. All right. So coming on to hands and knees. All right, so spreading the hands and fingers wide once again, and pressing the palms into the floor. Inhaling as you look up, tailbone is lifted. Exhale, pressing the palms into the floor, chin towards the chest, navel towards the spine. Face goes into your turtleneck if you're wearing a sweater like me. Inhaling up. Exhale. So invitation, you can stay here, keeping it at whatever speed feels right for you, or bring it into a little bit of a flow. So inhale here. As you exhale and press the palms into the floor, navel towards the spine, coming down, tailbone towards the ankles, into a child's pose. Inhale, nose kind of sweeps along the mat, and exhale. So any version that feels good to you, so that might be staying in cat-cow, that's slow and small movements, or maybe if you want to come into a little more flow here. variation to bring movement this way. And coming back to your tabletop. So finding some fluid movement here. So I'll do this from a couple different angles. So I'm not sure what relays best. But so you're in tabletop, maybe bending the elbows. If you're seated, you guys, and doing this from a seated position, you might just experiment with, having the hands in the lap, bending the elbows, bringing the head into the movement. Really just an opportunity so you can see what it might feel like just moving the lower back, just moving in the pelvis. Whatever kind of movement you're experimenting with, be sure to do it in both directions. And then let's come into child's pose, you guys. So child's pose, tailbone coming back towards the ankles. Knees can be spread wide. That might feel nice. Head comes to rest either on the ground, forehead comes to rest on the ground or on a block, bolster, blanket. And stay here for about 3 breaths. If you're seated, a variation for this would be your feet are on the floor, knees in front of you. Cross your arms on your knees, and then fold your head forward to rest your arms on, rest your head on your forearms. Kind of deeper, or another version of child from a seated pose would be for knees to be spread wide. And as you fold forward, your hands come to rest inside your legs towards your ankles. And inhale here, and as you exhale, walking the hands to the left. So you're still in child's pose, but you're walking that left fingertip out. And then once you've gotten as far as feels comfortable, walk the right fingertips any bit more. Draw the right hip back. And again, feeling the stretch along the side body. I'm laughing at my dog, you guys. He's still watching me. And then coming back to center. Inhale, and as you exhale, walking the hands to the right this time. Back here. So right hand and left hand both coming towards the right. Once you go as far as feels good, walking the left fingertips out any bit more. Drawing the left hip back. And coming back to center. And coming up. So back to tabletop, you guys. We're going to do some calf stretches. For those that are seated, your leg's going to be out in front of you. You're pointing and flexing the foot. Foot's on the floor. We're extending the back leg. I've got left leg extended back, and we're just moving back and forth a little bit. Seated folks, you're extending that leg out, pointing and flexing the foot. Nice. And we're going to pivot on that back foot, grounding down through the right palm. That left leg is extended out. My flaps are flying off. Extending that arm straight up, and then option to bring some circles in both directions. So seated folks, you could turn towards the direction of your extended leg and then make these motions. Imagine you guys in your chairs. Nice. So really ground down through the sole of the foot, extending that arm straight up. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to lower that arm down. Keep that left leg extended. Inhale. As you exhale, extend the right arm up. So we're coming into a twist here. Right arm comes up, left leg still extended back behind you. Maybe some circles, wrist. And exhale, lowering that right hand down. We're going to bring the knee to the floor. And then we're going to add in here, before we come to the other side, a little twist or a stretch for the neck and shoulders. So folks on the floor, folks in your chair, you can do the same thing with your left hand stays on your knee and the right arm's going to come up and needle through. So we're going to inhale that right arm up, exhale, needle through. Try not to spill your water. We're going to do that 3 or 4 times before we land here. So inhale up, exhale, needle through. So I really like to flow. You guys probably know this about me. If you've been in my classes before, I hold a pose. But if that doesn't feel right to you, you can always come right into a pose and not flow to get there. So that right arm has needle through, right palm's facing up. Left hand extended out in front of you. So you want the back of the head to be able to rest on the floor, so that you're not creating more tension in the neck and shoulders. Some of you may lift that arm up and bring back to the sacrum or around towards the crease of the hip on the other side. That's up to you, or you may keep it extended in front of you. And then slowly grounding down through that left palm, bringing it back to center, and inhale up. Let's do a little cat-cow to reset. Inhaling up, exhale. And actually your choice of cat-cow. So flow, it can be here, or come back to that flow. Just to reset between sides here. And this time we're going to extend the right leg back. I'm going to try taking my socks off, you guys. So you guys extend the right leg back, or seated folks are extending the right foot out in front of you. All right, so right leg back. Seated folks, that right leg is out in front of you, pointing and flexing. I really feel it on this side, you guys. I injured my ankle pretty severely a few years ago, and every once in a while, I just get some issues still on that side, my ankle and calf. So rocking back and forth. And then we're going to pivot on that back foot, just like we did on the other side. Grounding down through the left palm. Inhaling up. And then finding some circles. Just in both directions. It doesn't really matter which way it's first. Inhaling up. Exhale, grounding down that right palm, both palms initially pressing back into the floor. Pressing the right palm through the floor. Inhale, and as we exhale, extending the left arm up, really actively sending the right heel away from you. That's going to help create some space for the twist. And then grounding down, bringing the knee to the mat. We're going to come into that needling on this side. All right, so inhaling, lifting that arm up, exhaling, needling through. You might find you have a real different experience from one side to the other. You hear teachers say that a lot, but it's so true. It's sometimes surprising. Sometimes we're not aware that something's happening on one side and not on the other. And then whenever you're ready, you can land here. If you are going to lift your arm up, just before you lift that arm, make sure that you're really comfy and feeling safe in terms of your neck and shoulder position.
and that you're not holding in the neck and shoulders or lower back. But if it feels safe, you could lift that arm, come to rest on the sacrum or around the side, or you can leave it out in front of you. Let's find about 3 more breaths here. And slowly coming up. I'm going to do a little sun check-a-roo. Okay. All right, so let's folks on the floor, let's come onto our bellies. And seated folks, you can stay seated in your chair. So, folks on the floor, we're on our bellies. I'm going to bring the elbows directly beneath the shoulders. Forearms are pressing into the floor. Palms are pressing into the floor. Walk the feet away from you a little bit. So tops of the feet are pressing into the floor. And we're going to press the forearms, hands, finger pads all into the floor while we lift the chest and head. So Sphinx pose here. A little more. So coming back to the breath, allowing the front of the hips and the belly to relax towards the mat. See if you can breathe into the lower back if you're feeling tension there. Soften the lower back. If you need to release the head forward, if it's uncomfortable for your neck, that's an option. But see if you can still keep the chest lifted. So if there were light beams coming off your collarbones, they would still be going forward, even if the head's down. And then we'll take a little break in between sides. Oh, and I apologize, seated folks, I didn't show you. So folks on the floor, just turn your head to one side and let the knees fall from one side to the other. Seated folks, some of you might have already done this, but if not, so you're seated, feet on the floor. Your palms are going to be spread wide beside you, just in front of the shoulders. So it's kind of like you were doing more of a cobra, but so palms are spread wide, elbows are by your side, and you're just going to squeeze your shoulder blades together as you're drawing them down and lifting the chin and chest. So this motion for you guys that are seated, okay? All right, one more time. We're coming back into this for folks on the floor. So any kind of reset or readjusting that you need. I like to walk the feet out a little more. And again, we don't want the shoulders and neck to be picking up the stress here, right? They really like to do that. So see if you can really bring your attention to pressing through the entire forearm, pressing through all the parts of the hands. So it's not all going from shoulders to elbows, right? And then option, if you want to come into crocodile, you can bring the hands towards the corners of your mat or slightly off the mat and lift up. You can spread the feet a little wider towards the outer edges of your mat. You'll hold here for a few breaths. This does not feel good. You can go ahead and come down and cross the arms and turn your head to one side. But for some folks, this might feel really nice to your lower back. And again, relaxing the shoulders. And then go ahead and come out of this if you have not already. And then crossing an X. We were doing kind of windshield wipers before. Let's do X. Oh, my feet are cold now, you guys. Took them off because they were kind of getting stuck on my mat. All right, so let's come on to our back. For those of us on the mat, I'm going to put my shoes back on. Because my feet are freezing. I'll join you. Back's on the mat in just a minute.
then seated folks, you can stay seated. So if you guys ever have suggestions, you can send a message, a private message to the Bounty and Soul Facebook page or to me or Danielle. Always open to suggestions and feedback. All right, so let's just start. Let's extend the arms long overhead, stretching the heels away from you, fingertips over the head. And for folks that are seated, really driving the heels and soles of the feet into the floor, arms straight overhead. Inhale, and as you exhale, we're going to draw the right knee into the chest and just making some circles in both directions. So if you're in a chair, you could potentially bring the knee up towards the chest using the hands to help, and then making some circles. You could also do this standing up if you are beside a wall or something that you can hold on to for balance. And then we're going to bend that left leg, extend the right leg up, and point and flex, making some circles with the ankles. Nice. And then exhale, we're going to lower that leg down. Option to do a little flow here. So exhale, we're going to draw the knee into the chest. Inhale, extend it long. And lower down as you exhale and draw the knee back into the chest. So extend it long and up. That might be bent or straight. Lower it down and draw it in. One more time here. And then we're going to bend the left knee, bring the right ankle onto the left knee. We're coming into figure 4 needling. So another reminder to our neck and shoulders is another place where they really like to get active. So sometimes when we draw the knee in, there's a tendency to lift the head, right? So that we can get up closer here. So, just pause first. Notice how this feels. And then, notice first where that edge is, where the head is able to lay comfortably and the shoulders can relax. Seated folks, so your left foot's going to stay on the floor. Imagining I'm in a chair instead of on a mat, and then the right ankle is going to come to rest here. Modification would be to cross at the ankles. Palms are facing up. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to fold forward. So that's going to give you that similar stretch along the hip and IT band from the seated position. And folks on the floor, you're still drawing the left knee into the chest. Couple more breaths here. And releasing the left foot to the floor, keeping the right ankle just where it is. Extend the arms out to the side. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to allow that right foot to come down towards the floor. There's the right foot. So we're just coming to a twist. Seated folks, you would have your right ankle on your left knee and then turn your upper body to the right. Option to get a little side stretch in here would to bring the left hand to the right knee and lift the right arm up overhead. And then slowly coming back to center. Let's just have a little reset by bringing the legs to the outer edges of the mat, arms to the side, and letting the knees fall from one side to the other. So some of you probably already know this, but figure 4 is sometimes also called
sleeping pigeon or supine pigeon because it's very similar to pigeon, just on your back. So if you prefer pigeon, that's an option. Just be sure if you go into pigeon now, you do it on both sides. And then bringing the, let's see, left ankle to the right knee. I'll turn around so that you guys can see that and I don't hit the tree. Left ankle to the right knee. I'm backwards, you guys. Okay, yeah. Okay, we're good. And then option to needle through. But again, take a moment before you needle through. Often when we know where a pose is going, we're just like head straight for, the end of the move. But just hang out for a minute along the way in each of the places and notice where the edge shows up. Notice the breath. Notice any holding. My left side's way tighter than my right. And then whenever you're ready, you can hold that for a couple more breaths if you like, but as you're ready, you can let the left foot fall towards the floor, coming into your twist. Remember, seated folks, your left ankle's on your right knee, and then you're going to turn the upper body towards the left. Option for that side body stretch, right hand comes around the left ankle, and then left arm lifts overhead. So you're stretching along the left side by extending that left arm up and drawing the left hip towards the bottom of the mat and towards the floor. You're intensifying that stretch. And then slowly coming back. Do a little time check through. Okay. And then a little reset again. This time maybe drawing the knees into the chest and gently rocking side to side. You can do some feet straight up in the air with pointing and flexing and ankle rolls or happy baby or whatever feels good to you right now. Bridge pose or shoulder stand. I'll give you guys a couple minutes before we come into Shavasana. Maybe you're just ready for Shavasana. And as you are ready, you're releasing the feet to the floor. Extending the legs long. Blanket to go under your head or to cover with, whatever feels good. And before we just fully release our attention here, just doing a little body scan. Let's take a few breaths like we did in the beginning. Inhaling through the nostrils and exhaling through the mouth. A couple more of those. And bringing your awareness to your toes, to the tops of the feet, the bottoms of the feet, to the heels. Just noticing, witnessing, feeling the heaviness, feeling the support of the chair or the floor, the mat beneath you. Breathing into the backs of the legs, the calves on each side, the shins. Noticing the knees, the front of the knees, the sides and the back. Noticing the front of the thighs, the sides and the back. Moving up to the glutes and the lower back, sacrum, the front of the hips, the belly. diaphragm and ribs. Noticing the mid-back, the fingers, tips of the fingers, the palms, the wrists. Noticing the tops of the forearms and the bottom, your elbows. Noticing biceps and triceps, shoulders, the chest. Noticing the front of the neck, and the back. So I'm turning my volume down. Hang on for just a minute. Alright, so I'm really sorry about that, you guys. And it goes right in line with the morning. I hope that was not too much of a shock to anyone's system. It might be the person coming to fix our thermostat. Not sure what that was, so just releasing anything. Again, my apologies if that was as startling to any of you guys as it was to me. Just releasing that with the exhale. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm coming on to one side. I'm going to turn the sound off again. I think there might be somebody here. Alright, so if you're still managed to stay in Shavasana throughout all of the hoo-ha, feel free to stay there, or you can come onto one side. Come onto one side, slowly come into seated. And let's just pause for a moment here, just noticing what there is to notice. Notice how you feel physically. So noticing the physical body, also noticing mentally, energetically, how you feel after this time of some intentional movement, some intentional stillness, even with the excitement of the dog going crazy. So just noticing, and maybe bringing the hands to the heart. It's an invitation to notice internally where, if there are places internally that are still, places internally that are calm, connected, where there's space. And if you are finding connection to that place, if not, that's okay. If not, just being with the breath and noticing. And also an invitation just to remember that this stillness, this breath, this opportunity to come inward is available to us, right? So even amidst the a day exploding, your pet going crazy, what's going on in the world, certainly, right? There's a lot of chaos
at times in our outer world, and chaos in our inner world too. But we don't have a lot of direct control, some control, of course, by our actions. We don't have a lot of direct control around the outer chaos. Where we do have control is, what's going on internally. And there's power in that we know, right? Intuitively know that also that affects those around us and those around them, and exponentially and energetically affects outer chaos, right? So as within, so without, as above, so below. So just an invitation to remember that returning to self, returning to breath. You don't have to have a whole 45 minutes or an hour. You can have 1 minute just to do that. So just an invitation to you as you move through your week and through the holidays. Just to remember, coming back to the breath, coming back to the body, to that internal alignment. And reminder too, there is a market today from 11 to 1, also a market on Friday. Hopefully some of you will be out there. It's cold, but the sun's out. So I hope everyone has a great week. Enjoy Danielle next week. Thank you, and namaste. All right, beautiful people. We will see you next week. Again, feel free to send comments via the Tony and Soul Facebook page, or directly to Danielle or myself. Bye, guys. Have a great day.